Hey, how's it going guys? In today's video we're going to be discussing about some underrated features inside of Blender. I will describe these features as the hidden gems inside of Blender which can speed up your workflow by a mile. So without wasting any more time, let's just get started with the video. Now you may have noticed that some of my settings inside of my Blender are changed and are not default. For example, my render engine is set to cycles from EV. If you open Blender for the first time, it is EV. It is set to EV by default, and my device is also set to GPU rather than CPU. So first of all, I did not change them manually. All of this was done by Blender itself when I opened the file for the first time. This is because I had used a startup file, and this is our first topic. The startup file basically changes the default settings of the Blender when you open for when you open a new project. For example, I say in the startup file I set the render engine render engine type to be always cycle when I open a new file. So to just enable the startup files, go over to File, Defaults, and then Save a startup file. Now when you click on this option, it will save all of the changes you have made in the current file, and it will load all of the changes back to when you open another file or open a new Blender window. So this is how it works. Now next up, we have a very exciting feature that I want to share with you all. Now first thing first, I really wouldn't call it a feature, but rather I will call it a method which is being used barely by anyone, and it's a really great method to create hard surface shapes that I'm honestly surprised at why aren't more people doing this. I've only seen one YouTuber doing this. I will give a link down in the description. Now the basic concept is you have to use metaballs to create hard surface shapes. Now for that, first I will have to explain that what are metaballs. First I will add in a metaball by pressing Shift plus A, then going to the metaball and then the ball. Now as you can see here, they have added in a spherical shape. Now what are metaballs? I like to refer them to as magnetic clay. So if I duplicate this, as you can see here, these two metaballs are attracted to each other and want to merge together. And as you can see here, there's a whole circle around them. So it indicates that if it is inside that, then it will start merging together, just like so. And there's a whole transition effect going on. So as they get closer and closer and closer, they take the shape of the other ball. So this is the basic concept of metaballs. Now I will just move it back. Now as you can see here, when you have the metaball selected, you will see a new tab, which is the object data properties, which is limited to the metaballs. Now here I can just increase the resolution. Actually this is called voxel modeling. As far as I'm aware, that's why when it decreases, the resolution increases, and if I increase this value, the resolution decreases, as this is the size of the voxel. Now basically, let's say, now how is this relating to hard surface modeling? Now let me just showcase. I will add in another metaball. For this I will go with a simple cube. I will move it aside, just like so, and I will scale it down a little bit so I can get some hard edges. Move it like so it is intersecting the circle. Now here comes the fun part. If I go into edit mode and select the cube, set it to negative, as you can see, it has just added a hole to the circle. Now I will have to decrease the voxel size to showcase it. As you can see here, it just gives this effect. If I just increase it, as you can see here, it has created a hole like so, and I can just keep on adding. Yeah, as you can see here, I can duplicate this on the other side. Actually, I think I should move it first like so. I can duplicate it on the other side, and now you can already see the possibilities coming along, and so many things that you can do with this. Now here's just a simple shape that I'm creating. You can create things so much more better and so much more appealing if you put a lot more work into it. Now I've created such, and now I wouldn't say that it's a very amazing shape, but I wouldn't say that it's a very bad shape. And this is just created within like what 2 seconds. and this doesn't ruin the topology, this doesn't ruin the shading. Overall, this is just a really amazing way to model things. As you can see here, I've created an amazing shape, and if you just like, you can select the whole shape, convert to mesh. Now it's not a metaball, and rather it's a mesh. Now it's very heavy, you can retopologize it and do everything like that, and it's just such an underrated feature that I'm completely baffled that why haven't more people been using this. So this is the basic concept of using hard surface modeling using metaballs, and let's move on. The next thing I want to talk about is the smooth modifier. For that, I'll be deleting this sphere, which was a cube. I will add in a plane, subdivide it, I would say 6 times, yeah, that's fine. I should say 10 times, and go to the proportional editing and random, just so I can showcase what does the smooth modifier does. Now, as you can see here, I've created a terrain which is very jagged. As you can see here, all of the vertices are very jagged and harsh. So basically, the smooth modifier does what you expect. It smooths out everything. For example, if I add a smooth modifier, as you can see here, we already see an effect. And if I increase this repeat, it will smooth out all of the vertices. Now, as you can see, it does mess up our shape, as it is not quite possible to smooth out without adding more vertices, without changing the shape. So, but still, it can be really useful in a lot of the cases. As you can see here, we have a very smooth terrain now. If I shade it smooth, as you can see here, the difference is quite obvious. So this can be really helpful when you are working with low poly models and you want to smooth out the things, but keep the overall shape. The next step I want to talk about is related to subdivision modeling. If you don't know what is subdivision modeling, it is basically modeling with the subdivision modifier. Let me showcase what I am trying to say. So for example, if I add in a simple cube, add in a subdivision surface modifier, and start modeling like this, this will be known as subdivision modeling. But I will not be going too deep into that, and just explaining the concept that I am trying to say. So the first thing that I have seen people do to sharpen the edges, for example, as you can see here, the subdivision surface modifier has turned our cube to a spherical shape. Now what a lot of people do is simply select the shape to sharpen it, press Shift plus A, and you can just sharpen it like this. Now yes, this does work, but if I turn on a matte cap, as you can see here, they are not really realistic reflections, and it doesn't really work in the and this is not how you achieve realism. So a better way to do is, instead of sharpening these, I will just remove this effect, and instead what I will do is bevel these edges. Now as you can see, we can already see a difference, a massive difference, but what we'll do is bevel it with 2 segments and turn the profile by pressing P, profile to 1. As you can see here, these are the settings, and as you can see here, this gives a lot more realistic reflections. Now you may not be able to tell a huge difference, but when you are creating many shapes, for example in cars, there are many shapes where you have to get sharp edges. It will get very prominent, and it may not be very prominent in this situation, but as you can see here, it still makes a massive difference. Now the next thing I would like to discuss about is using asset libraries. Now what are asset libraries? Asset libraries basically store your models or any models that you like, and they store it so you can drag and drop it to any scene you like. To access the asset libraries, go over to this menu, to the editor type, click on it and change it to where is it? Yes, the asset browser here. As you can see here, I've already added some models, for example some cars and things like that. Now you may wonder that how can I get models into these asset libraries, as in your asset libraries you probably won't be seeing any models. Basically what I did was, I went over to the edit, preferences, file paths, and I set a file path for the asset libraries. Basically, in that I added in some models, I added in some car models that I wanted to add into the asset libraries, and what I did was I basically assigned them to be I marked them as an asset. So now they show in this menu. Now this is really helpful in huge scenes, as I've just drag and drop this car and it is just in my scene within a second. So this is really helpful. Secondly, the second thing I want to talk about is simplify our section, which is located in the render properties tab, and under here you will see the simplify option. So in the simplify option, if I enable it and drop it down, as you can see here, there are a lot of things that can be used to optimize your viewport and even your render. For example, if I have a cube with many subdivisions, if I add a subdivision surface modifier, and if I just set it to 6, as you can see here, this is a very dense model and many devices may not be able to run it. So for that, here is the simplify option comes in. Simply, you can change the max subdivision count of your whole scene. So for example, it is set to 6, and if I just reduce it, it will just reduce the max subdivision counts for all of the objects inside of my Blender to 2, and it won't exceed that. And as you can see here, the settings are different for the viewport and the render. So this can be really useful if you are looking for a high quality render but don't want to slow down your viewport. So you can just enable this and turn down the subdivisions. You can even turn down the particles, set a texture limit, and even play with the volume resolution. So I would say that this is one of the most important features when it comes to when you are creating very heavy scenes, especially this viewport section, as the viewport in Blender tends to get very laggy a lot of the times when you're working with heavy scenes. Now the next thing I would like to talk about is for that I will have to turn on statistics from over here. I will add in a simple cube and subdivide it a lot of the times. As you can see here, actually let me do it a few more times. As you can see here, my PC is already starting to lag, as it is this one cube is 3.1 million triangles. So if I just keep duplicating it, my scene will be overflowed and my scene will eventually the Blender will eventually give up, and before that probably my PC will give up. So what's a solution to this? For example, if you have to copy paste all of these objects many times but you don't want to increase the triangles or the polygon count, well, that's simple. You simply duplicate by pressing Shift plus D, but instead of that try pressing Alt plus D. Now notice that how my triangles count is not increasing even by a single polygon. That is because we are instancing the object instead of duplicating it. Now what is the difference, you may ask? Basically, when you duplicate an object, it creates new object properties, and it's a new object and it's a whole new object as compared to an instance. So it is an independent object. But when I press Alt plus D, it is using an instance of this object. So whatever effect, all of these instances copy all of the object settings or the properties of this object. So it's an instance. For example, if I go over to the original one, or for that matter any of the any of the cubes. Now I think I should unsubdivide it just to showcase it better. It's very heavy right now. Yeah, there we go. Now if I just go over here and go to proportional editing and just move it a bit, as you can see here, all of the objects or all of the instances are being affected, and all of them have changed shapes. So this is the simple concept, and this can be really helpful when you are trying to get instance many trees, many rocks, and anything like that. Now this is all pretty much for the tips, but now I would like to do a rapid fire for some of the more smaller tips, but they are also very helpful. So let's just get started. Now, first of all, what I would like to discuss about is, you may have heard, you all guys probably know about insetting, but did you guys know about insetting outwards? For example, if I press EI and then press O, it will insert an edge loop outwards. Now this can be really helpful when you're using subdivision surface modifier. As you can see here, it is just starting up the edges. So as you can see here, this is really a great feature. Now the next thing I want to talk about is using the loop tools add-on. I cannot stress this much, but the loop tools add-on is one of the best add-ons, I would say, for modeling. So to simply enable it, you can go to edit preferences, add-ons, and search for loop tools and just enable it. Now in the Blender 4.2, you will have to go to a website called extensions.blender, as far as I'm aware. Then you will have to install it from there. Now for example, if I just showcase its abilities, and for that I will just have to add in a simple edge. Let me just turn this subdivision more off, and yeah, as you can see here, if I just enable loop tools and if I just press, as you can see, there are many features over here. For example, I can flatten these two shapes together. I can turn them into a circle. As you can see here, I can space them so the space between the edges is exactly the same. So there are unlimited possibilities with this add-on, and it's I would say that it's one of the best add-ons that you can get for modeling, and it makes modeling really easy. So yeah guys, that is pretty much it for the tips, and I hope you have learned something new from this video. If you have, then make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like these. Until then, we'll meet later.